Hello and welcome to episode 258 of my podcast all about knitting and crochet and my yarn shop here in Wiesbaden, Germany. I'm Kiko and today is December 23rd, 2024. And today I'm again wearing something very new, just finished, and a pullover that's a little older, but not really old. I think I knit that last year. But first to the cowl. This is the merry-making mystery knit along by Stephanie Lotvin, also known as Tellybean Knits. And I showed it to you as a finished object last week. And now it's been washed and blocked and it looks beautiful, I think. Let me show you the whole thing. So it always surprises me how much neater everything looks after it's been washed. It shouldn't surprise me because I know that happens, but even directly after I've washed it, it still looks a bit wonky and not too tidy. But as soon as it dries, it miraculously all gets nice and even and everything. So this is what the cowl looks like. Now you can see all the motifs. I think they look really funny and very seasonal. I like the yarn a lot and yeah, really happy with how this turned out. I had woven in all the ends before I washed it, but I left them in until the cowl was dry, and afterwards I cut the ends. I think I forgot to cut this, but it's very thin, almost invisible. And this side too looks a lot neater now. You can sometimes see where I wove in the ends, but that's okay. And I really enjoy wearing it. And I think I'll just keep wearing it the next couple of days and not take it off until all the holidays are over. We'll see about that. I'll talk about how to style it in a minute, then I don't have to put it on and take it off again. I'll just quickly show you the pullover. This is knit out of a llama yarn. It's not alpaca, it's llama. I think they're very related, those animals. And it's a bulky weight yarn. I had 500 gram of this dark turquoise, and I wasn't quite sure that would be enough for a pullover as it has very little yardage. I think it was like 100 meters for 100 grams. So I used one skein of the white yarn as well. It's the same llama yarn. And I knit the pattern Vinahop by Nicolor, the same pattern that I'm knitting right now as well. You can see this is where you start. So you start in the neck of the pullover, you knit to a certain size that fits you. Then you cast on stitches for the front and you knit down. So it's a fairly simple pullover. The original pattern actually looks like this. So you have one color and every 10th round you knit this knit purl pattern. I chose, as I said, to use a second color so that I would have more yarn. And I think for the first sleeve, I put in the white yarn because I wasn't sure whether I would have enough yarn, something like that. And then for the second sleeve, I realized I actually had enough yarn to finish the ribbing like this. Or was it the other way around? I don't know. There was a reason I have different ribbings. Maybe I didn't have enough yarn and I had to put the white in. I don't know. I think it's quite funny to have a little difference between the two sleeves. And I have the two color ribbing at the front and back. And yeah, so it's not a huge pullover, but it fits me, and I don't mind having the sleeves a little short. I can wear wrist warmers or something. And the pullover itself is really warm. So it's a pure llama yarn. So it's really nice and warm. And because there's white in the cowl and this dark blue-green color is almost exactly the same as this pullover, I wanted to wear these two together. So for the cowl, there are different ways you can wear it. I think the easiest way to wear it is just to have the point in the front, and then you can sort of try and either show this motif more or this one. You can play around a little bit. But I also found that if I was outside and I forgot my hat, I could turn it round. So I have the long end at the back and I can pull it up like a hood, and it could work as instead of a hat. I keep my head warm. And another way that I've seen her style the cowl is to put the tip towards one side and then pull it around like this. And yeah, the deer get to run across my chest, which is funny. Yeah, otherwise, yeah, I find it a bit difficult to try and show some of the motifs more than the others. So I think I will just end up wearing it anyway it wants to fall and not really bother. I like all the colors. I like all the motifs. And I think it's okay if you can't see them all very clearly. That's absolutely okay. Yeah, so much to what I'm wearing today. Then on to finished objects, finished projects. I have 3 today, even though the thumbnail picture for the video only shows 2 because one is a mystery knit along and I wasn't quite sure whether I should show it. But I'll start with my oldest project, and that's the secret Cove cowl that I was knitting as part of the pattern battle. And I hadn't really expected to finish it. Last week I had started knitting this knitted on lace edge where I put some beads in. They are not in the pattern, but I wanted to have them. And then when I picked it up a few days ago to add just a few more pattern repeats, I realized I was almost done. So I quickly finished it last night and have a finished object. I told you that I hadn't done the provisional cast on for the lace edge that I was supposed to be doing, but I still tried to sew it together as invisibly as possible, and I think it worked out quite fine. So if you look closely, you can see the seam. It's a bit more visible from the inside, but I think with this busy yarn, it doesn't really matter at all. And it's at that point where it's a bit shorter. So I think I would probably wear the longer part to the front like this. But even if that point was pointing towards the front, it wouldn't matter. Several of my friends have started knitting this cowl just using this pattern up here without the knitted on lace edge. And I said that's something my sister wanted to do. But after she saw this pattern, she's actually thinking about adding this to her cowl if she knits one. She probably won't do the short rows. I think nobody's doing the short rows. But that's okay. I did them because they're in the pattern and I like it. And if I decide to keep it, I will probably wear it in the next video, but I'm not quite sure whether I'm going to keep it or give it away. But first I'll wash it. I won't block this upper part. I think these ruchy bits, they should dry the way they are, but I might just pull out the lace edging a little bit to have the pattern show a bit more clearly and to also stress these points from the zigzag. So that's the first finished object. Then the second oldest project is my Gnifty No. 2. So I knit Gnifty No. 2 for a friend of mine who promised to knit me double knitted socks. So I'm really looking forward to those. And because this friend of mine loves glitter and sparkly yarn, I chose this leftover yarn from a pullover that I knit for myself. And actually, I took a photograph holding Gnifty while I was wearing that pullover. So that picture should be up on Ravelry if you want to have a look. And I put some glitter yarn with the light blue in the hat. Did not do it for the tassel. I wasn't quite sure what that would look like. And definitely not for the big nose. So Nifty's known for his big nose. And yeah, I really like him. He's a nice fella. And so sometime after Christmas, he will go on a big voyage and hopefully safely get to my friend. That's Gnifty No. 2. As I don't have Gnifty No. 1 anymore, I gave him away as well. I might knit a Gnifty No. 3 at some point. Sarah Shearer is doing another year of gnomes next year. And I think I will mostly knit gnomes out of her new book, Gnomes of the Grimblewoods, for that. But the most, or what the year of gnomes really means is that if you knit a gnome a month, or every month that you knit a gnome, you can enter a form on her website and you can take part in a prize drawing or something. So, and if you knit a month, if you knit a gnome every month next year, you can win a grand prize. So I will try and knit a gnome every month, and maybe one of the months I will decide to knit a Gnifty for myself. And then the next finished object is Nana's Visit. So this is this year's mystery gnome knit along. So if you don't want to see her, look away now. This is my finished Nana. So this is a gnome Nana, and she is traveling in the story that accompanied the knit along. So that's why she's wearing her beautiful cloak. And the cloak, of course, goes with her dress that she's wearing for her travels. And the fun thing is you can take the cloak off, and then you have Nana the way she would be inside that cottage or inside the house. And as you can see, she doesn't have a beard, she has braids, and she wears glasses, the way a lot of Nanas do. And I'm really, really happy with her. I enjoyed knitting her. The pattern is quite something different, and it's very different from all the other gnomes that we've knit so far. And the only problem I have is that I didn't do the stuffing very well, so she has a hard time standing, so she tends to fall over. But as soon as she leans onto something, she's fine, and that's something that can happen with age, so it's not too bad, and I'm really happy with her. So I'm not showing her anymore in case you were looking away. That's all the finished objects, finished project for today. Then on to works in progress, and the first work in progress is, well, I'll start with the, I wrote it down in a different order, but I'll start with the mystery knit along for the holiday socks, the Step into Christmas socks. So I'm showing them now. I'm nowhere near finished. So this was clue 1. Yeah, I knit it shorter because of my short legs. Then I knit the heel flap, and now I've picked up the stitches. I've knit the gusset, and I finished clue. No, this is clue 3. So it was 2 clues for the leg of the sock, and I did the second clue shorter. Then this is clue 3 with the heel and the gusset. And I ran into a bit of a problem there because I did not follow the number of stitches exactly as written, because in the pattern she increases 8 stitches after the ribbing, because a lot of people like to knit the color work with many, many stitches. I'm not one of those people because I keep my floats fairly loosely, so I can, this is very stretchy because I really make sure that the floats are very loose, so I have no problem putting this on. And so this is the right number of stitches for me, but if I had used 8 stitches less for the ribbing, I was afraid this would be too tight. So I knit the ribbing from size 2, but then knit the leg from size 1. And then if you knit as per pattern, you have to decrease stitches for the heel flap. And again, I didn't do that because I like this number of stitches. But then when I finished the heel flap, I realized that I knit the heel from size 2, but I'm knitting this pattern from size 1. So for this bit, I had to improvise a little bit, and I knit this beautiful pattern from size 2, but I knit this pattern from size 1. That's why I have here some stitches that are not in the pattern. So I did not really follow the pattern properly. I had to do some more decreases to get to the number of stitches I needed. But now I finished all that, and I can now go start with clue 4. But what I have to do, I can't knit the complete clue 4 again because that would be too long for my short feet. So I have to do a little bit, try it on, measure things, and then find out how many patterns I can get into the foot before I have to start the toe so that the sock will actually fit me. I was a bit worried this bit might be too big for my foot because I'm mixing sizes, and it looks huge, but it actually fits me. It's fairly loose on my foot, but that's okay. These are not socks that I want to go on a big walk in. These are socks that I want to wear at home when I'm on my sofa when I'm in bed, and I would just enjoy looking at them and enjoying the soft yarn. Oh, by the way, that reminds me, the yarn I used is the Alpaka sock yarn by Hansa Farm, and I used the same yarn for this cowl and the same yarn for Gnana, the gnome. So, and yeah, all the colors are the Alpaka sock yarn by Hansa Farm. And I had promised you, oh, I'm not showing the sock anymore. I was holding it into the camera for a really long time. I think it's not a big mystery anymore. I think all the clues have been released for quite some time. I promised you that every video this month I would show you some new yarn, and usually I show you the yarn after I started knitting something with it. But I did not get to cast on a new project last week, but there are two different yarns that I want to show you, and I've decided to just show them to you even though I'm not knitting with them at the moment. One of them is another Alpaka sock yarn by Hansa Farm, so it's the same yarn that I am actually using. But they created new colors. So far, all the sock yarns by Hansa Farm were solid colors, or they were only very, very slightly, not variegated, but like this dark blue-green. It's a mix of blue and green. And if you look at the yarn really closely, you can see the different blues and greens. And also the dark red is sort of a little bit of a mix. But so far, they didn't have any like stripes in their socks or different colors, and that's what they did now. So they created new colors, sock yarn. So this is again 75% alpaca, 25% polyamide, and it's 420 meters, and it's 112 grams because it's alpaca. It's slightly heavier than a sheep sock yarn would be. And the interesting thing that they do, so if you buy directly from Hansa Farm, you always have to buy 200 grams. They don't sell single balls of yarn. You always have to either buy 200 or 300 grams, depending on what kind of yarn you order. And if you order these new colors, you get one ball with very thin stripes and one with these solid blocks of color. And I think this is really interesting. And on their website, if you look, they show a picture where a person wears one sock like this and one sock like that. And one of my customers bought those two balls of yarn, and she said she's going to do a very simple triangular shawl, and one half where she increases the stitches, she's going to use one ball. And then the second half where she decreases the stitches, she's going to use this one. So that's a fantastic idea. And my sister's been thinking of maybe knitting a pullover where she knits the front and back with this small stripes and then the bigger stripes for the sleeves. Another great idea. So lots of things you can do with a colorway that comes in different size stripes. I'm not showing you all the colors because I don't have all the colors anymore. I ordered all 8 colors, but I already sold some of them. So I'm just going to show you 4 of the colors, and you can check out their website. It's linked underneath the video if you want to have a look. So that's one of the blue colorways. This is a like pink purple, but then this yellow brown color and a like beige colorway. So quite different from the soft blues. Then there's a yellow and gray colorway. So that's quite different again. And on the whole, all the Hansa Farm colors are quite different to the opal colorways, which tend to be a lot stronger and brighter. But I think it's great to have these two different kind of yarns in the shop. So whatever my customers like, I should have something for them. And then this is a turquoise and brown mix. And again, you can see how differently the stripes look on this ball and on that one. So that's a very, very interesting new yarn that Hansa Farm created. But I'm also going to show you opal yarn that I've had for several weeks, but I haven't been able to start a project yet. And that's also a new creation, and that's a merino yarn. So it's called fine merino Wolle, so it's fine merino yarn, and it's extremely soft. It's almost as soft as the alpaca yarn, so it's incredible. So probably not the best idea to try and knit sturdy socks. These might you might walk through your socks, run through, how do you say that when the socks get holes because you've used them too much. So because it's so soft, I don't know, it might be a little less sturdy than the usual sock yarn by Opal. So this is one of the colors that was already in the Opal Abo. So I have that color on a normal yarn and I have it now on the merino yarn. This was the other color that was in the subscription box. So this is like looks a bit like a rainbow. It's not a proper rainbow, but it sort of has that vibe. And I want to knit a cardigan out of this colorway. So I would have shown the yarn to you once I start the cardigan, but I don't know when I get around to doing that. So I'll show it to you now, and that's good. Then there's this beautiful dark blue with a little light blue and purple in it. Then we have a yellow green purple mix, which is very interesting. And then this beautiful blue green mix of colors. And as I said, they are all so soft. They are quite a bit more expensive than the normal Opal sock yarn, but I think the yarn is really worth the price. Okay, so that was the new yarn that I wanted to show to you. Then on with my works in progress and on with socks. And I am knitting on the third pair of sneaker socks with a neon accent. So these are for my younger nephew, and I finished the length of the foot and I put in another neon stripe, and I've changed to double pointed needles. I knit the rest of the sock on the mini circular needle by Gu, but now I've put in my double pointed needles because I started the decreases for the toe. So this sock should be done fairly soon. And then I'll start the next one and I'll try to get as much done as possible. I'll see my nephew on the 26th. And then no matter how far I am, I'm going to give it to him as a present. And I will have to ask for the socks back anyway, so I can show them on the next podcast episode. So whether I finish the second one or not, I will have to get them back. So I'm not too worried about that. And then the next video, the next proper episode, I will be filming next year, because the week between Christmas and New Year's I'll take off video making, so I have a bit of a holiday. And then the next video in January I will hopefully show them as a finished pair, and then I can give them to my nephew for him to keep. Next week I will release another video with my sister over on my German channel. So the German channel is linked underneath the video. If you want to have a look at what we've knit, even if we explain things in German, you might have a look. Otherwise, you'll just have a week without a video from me. And then in 2 weeks' time, there should be the next proper episode. So that's it for socks. Then I continued knitting a little bit on the baby cardigan that I showed a few weeks ago. The pattern is called Little Butts. And I still haven't done a whole lot. I'm still working on the back of the cardigan, but now you can kind of see why it's called Little Buds. So it looks a bit like a plant with little buds. And I think I have to do one more pattern repeat, and then I can start shaping the armholes. It kind of looks fairly big for a little baby, but then babies grow so quickly. I think I shouldn't worry about that. And I should worry about getting it finished so she can wear it this winter. Pretty sure it won't fit next winter, no matter how big it looks now. I'm using the merino yarn by Schachenmeier, and I will really make this a priority now of the holidays to keep knitting on that so she can get it as quickly as possible. I don't think it'll be finished in 2 weeks' time. Maybe it will. Maybe in 3 weeks' time I can show it as a finished object, and then I can give it to her parents so they can put it on her. That's that. That's the little garment. And then the two big garments that I'm knitting on. One of them is the Vinahop. I already mentioned that when I talked about this pullover. So I haven't really knit a whole lot on it last week, just a few rounds. I could have knit a little more, but I finished this ball of yarn and I thought it's so much easier to bring it here without a ball hanging off of it. So I started this 1x1 rib that I also knit into the sleeves. But I thought it'd just be funny to see the two pullovers next to each other. So you can see here I have this knit purl round every 10 rounds. And with this pullover, I decided to do one band of 10 rounds in stockinette, and then for the next I would put in a knit purl pattern. And again, you have this half circle in the neck that you start with, and then when you have a certain width here, you cast on the other stitches, and later you pick up for the ribbing for the neck band. And then yeah, I already finished the sleeves, and now I just need to finish the front and back. It takes a lot longer than this pullover took because there are a whole lot more stitches in this pullover, but that's okay. I'm looking forward to having it one day. And I think this would also go nicely with this cowl because this is basically the same color. It's just that this is a pure baby alpaca and the sock yarn is just 75% alpaca. But it's interesting how the colors look slightly different because of that, because of the material. So that's my second Vinahop. And I also continued knitting on the Arctic pullover. And as I had planned, I added a few more rounds, then tried it on again, measured it a bit, and I decided that the yoke was big enough. So I actually put the sleeve stitches on hold at this point, and then I continued knitting on the front and back, and I actually finished all the pattern. So the yoke was supposed to be this long, and the yoke has the same length for all the sizes, and I am knitting the smallest size. And I think for the smallest size the yoke is just too long, especially if you consider that I should have knit more rounds without pattern before starting the pattern. So I left out some of those rounds already because I knew the yoke had so many rounds, and I'm really happy with the way this fits now. So I finished the pattern. There's another white yarn on light grey that's almost invisible, but now I think I knit one round of just the light grey, and the rest of the pullover won't have any pattern. So the front and back will just be the light grey. Then when I pick up the sleeves, I will add this bit of pattern that I haven't knit yet, so that all the pattern is there. And it's just that I split between arms and front and back a bit earlier. Because I continued the pattern, I had to make sure that I cast on the right number of stitches so that the pattern would keep going without a hiccup. If I hadn't knit the pattern anymore, I probably would have picked up fewer stitches, but that's okay. I think for the front and back, they can be fairly wide. It's a pullover I want to wear on top of things. For the sleeves, I have to see, I will pick up the same number of stitches, but I might decrease them fairly quickly because the sleeve looks fairly big. But I'll decide that when I get there. So this is the first 100-gram ball of light grey that I started with for this pullover. So I'll just knit this into the pullover. This be a perfect car knitting because we're going away for the holidays. I can just knit this in the car, even if it's dark. I don't have to watch my stockinette stitches in the round. So when I finish this ball of yarn, I will then do the sleeves and then the rest. But you'll see that. I won't finish that during the next 2 weeks. No way is that going to happen. So, and that brings me to the last project, which is the spiral granny rectangle blanket that I'm crocheting out of several Rigato colorways that I had lying around at home. Last week I was on these green rounds. It's a fairly dark green ball of yarn, and then I added in the ball with the glitter, but not all the stitches have the glitter in them. So there's some more glitter happening here. It doesn't pick up too easily, but I finished that ball, and then I finished a fairly colorful ball of yarn. So it doesn't look very colorful around here, but here you can see There were some bright reds and yellows and orange in that ball. And that was the only one I had in that colorway. Now I have some more colorful balls with, I think one has more yellow and orange in it, and then I have some red leftover bits, and then I have all the other colors that I still have. So this is growing very nicely. It's already a small blanket, and I'm looking forward to seeing how big this gets when I put in all the bits that I have lying around at home. Yeah, so that's everything I knit and crocheted last week. This is the last video for this year. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one in the next year. Bye!